Okay, we're back again. All right, I need to look at the other video, so hopefully that recorded, because we're doing another one. All right, here is the thing. For the last maybe 20 years, we have been taught by scientists, by nutritionists, by doctors, by everybody to eat small portions frequently. I'm sure you've heard that, eat small portions frequently. I have taught my ladies that. I have followed that rule. I have done that. Well, I want to tell you that that research, that science, was based on our diets that are relatively new but filled with fake food, with sugars and processed foods, processed flours, and what happens to our body when we're on a traditional Western diet, which is full of that stuff. So they've just barely gone, oh, wait a second, this is what we needed to do to be healthy while eating this kind of a diet. And so let me show you, I've got a graphic here where I'm going to show you, demonstrate these two types of diets. One is the diet that was eaten before everything became processed. And it's a healthy diet, and I want to talk about what happens to our bodies when we eat a normal, regular diet, okay? I've got my little board up here. Hopefully you can see it. I'm going to adjust it a little bit so you can see this side. Can you see that side? Maybe if I adjust here. A little bit more. A little bit more. There we go. Okay, I don't care if you see me. I want you to see the board. So this side, a healthy digestive system with a healthy, regular, normal way of eating food. When we are eating this way, this is a whole food diet with pretty much eating anything you want except taking out sugars, processed foods, processed flours, just regular normal food, not being obsessed with anything. When we're in this way, our driving force, the thing that propels us to eat, is hunger, okay? Hunger. When we're hungry, we eat. When we're not hungry anymore, we stop, right? I've put a little scale here if you can see it. It starts at a 10, goes down to 0, and then we have -1, goes down to -10. These are our hunger levels, and I want you to be familiar with this. We generally try to be at a 0. We eat until we're satisfied. 0 would be satisfied. 10 would be so hungry that you could, opposite. 10 would be so full. Let me think here. Right. So full that you are almost unconscious. You ate way too much Thanksgiving dinner or whatever, would be a 10. If you have an eating disorder where you tend to eat too much in one sitting and you eat until you can't possibly put more food in, then you're familiar with a 10. A lot of us have never been to a 10. But that would be the 10. The -10 would be so hungry that you're passed out, okay? You just can't even function anymore, you're so hungry. We don't want to be on either of those ever. But when we eat, we're generally want to be at 0, which is satisfied, is where we're shooting. Now what happens is that when our stomach gets empty, there is a hormone that gets produced, and it's generally when we're about a -4. So -4 hunger levels. Pretty hungry, not like raving mad hungry, but you're pretty hungry. And your stomach is empty, and this hormone gets produced, and it's called ghrelin. I'll write this down here. Okay. And we are, these are digestive hormones that control your metabolism. Sorry, my mind did a little there. Okay, so ghrelin is one, we don't hear much about it, but it gets produced. It's in the stomach, in the gut, when it's empty and when we're depleted of energy sources. It's also called the hunger hormone. It tells you that you're hungry. It warns you that you're hungry. So, you can picture this little ghrelin guy, my little stick figures here, holding up a sign that says, eat. Okay, so that happens when you're at about a -4. All right, so you eat food at that point, and you get food in your stomach, and you get up to a 0. When you get to that satisfied point, the ghrelin shuts off and a new hormone starts being produced that's called leptin. Okay? So leptin is your stop eating hormone. It tells you that you are satisfied, you're at a 0. Okay? So while you have one that says eat, you have another one, same little stick figure guy, that says stop. Stop eating, you are full. Okay? Now scientists have tried to come up with drugs that either stop our ghrelin because they make us want to eat, or increase our leptin because they tell us to stop eating. But that's artificial stuff. It doesn't work usually when you put in this fake stuff. It just confuses matters. When we're eating normally, we have the ghrelin until we eat, and then we have the leptin. Okay, so once we've eaten, we're at a 0. We're all satisfied. We have food in our belly. We have insulin. We've all heard of insulin. We think of insulin as a bad guy, or we may think of it as just something that you inject when you're diabetic. It's very helpful. We need our insulin. Insulin helps control our blood sugar levels. It actually helps convert the food that you've just put in into glucose so that it provides energy. Okay, so insulin is very important. And when there is food put in the belly, sorry, I just wrote that insulin very poorly, but hopefully you know what I'm talking about. It gets to work. So the general process is that we have food in our belly. I apologize, I'm going to turn around so I can actually write this better. We have food in our belly that gets converted into glucose, which provides energy to our cells. It goes into our bloodstream, gets converted into energy, and the bloodstream, with the help of insulin, gets it to our cells, which helps us have energy, helps us move. It also helps with cell replication, healthy cell replication, which helps us heal. So it goes through this little process in our bloodstream. Eventually, the belly runs out of food, and as this little cycle is going on and they're looking for energy, they're looking for nutrients to go to the cells, we run out of a supply. There's no more in the belly, and so we've dropped down a little bit, and guess what? Ghrelin gets produced again. Okay, we get more ghrelin, and we eat because we are signaled that we're hungry. So we go back up, leptin tells us to stop, but we go through the whole cycle again where we get more food and it gets converted into energy, and on we go. That is a normal, healthy cycle. Okay? Now we're going to move on to what is typical of our current modern diet, and that is an overload of sugars. Okay, when that happens, and I'm going to scoot over here and hopefully you can see the second side of our board now. When this is our typical diet, lots of sugars, then our driving force, instead of being hunger, is sugar withdrawals. That's the thing that makes us want to eat. We have several reasons that we eat. Sugar withdrawals is one, hunger is another. We also have emotions, and we're going to talk about emotions as well. That's one of the big things that I taught before all of this, and we will have a video where I talk about that as well. But the two things that signal us that it's time to eat get confused in terms of whether it's hunger and whether it's just sugar withdrawals. And so I have the same little chart here with our 10 through -10 as I have over here. But where this chart represented hunger levels, this one actually represents blood sugar levels, because instead of getting a signal that comes from our gut because of the ghrelin being produced saying it's time to eat, you're hungry, the signal is actually low blood sugar telling us that we need a fix, basically, because I'm telling you, sugar is actually more addictive than meth, than all the drugs, and research is showing that it is a serious addiction. And so we're getting a different signal, and the way you can recognize these different signals, the hunger signal comes from your gut, and it's gentle. It's kind of in waves. You just kind of think, oh gosh, maybe I'm hungry. I think I think it's time to eat. But it's not a big, powerful, I have to do it now. It will turn into that eventually if you ignore it, but it doesn't start that way. And there's usually plenty of time, at least an hour, before you start to really feel hungry. When craving hits, or withdrawals hit, that is immediate, it's urgent. You start getting jittery, lightheaded, maybe a headache, and you think, I've got to eat now. And you usually really want a sugar fix or a carb fix. You want a processed something. You think you need something like that because it literally is withdrawals, and you think you need the thing that's bringing you out of it. So let's look what happens when you have this type of hunger pattern. Okay, so instead of the hunger being the signal, like I said, it's your blood sugar levels. And so when your blood sugar levels are down and you get this signal, I need to eat food, and you think you need to eat something like crackers, cookie, French fries, potato chips, processed stuff, you think you need those, or it might be a meal with a hamburger and French fries and a soda pop. You have a high carb meal. And when I say carb, I don't want to confuse that with healthy carbs, because there are healthy carbs, we need healthy carbs, but I'm talking processed stuff, okay? So we have a dinner, we have a meal, we have a snack, whatever it is, and all of a sudden, instead of getting up to the zero of fullness, because we don't have those hormones working anymore, we just have this craving, what happens is blood sugar goes into our belly, and blood sugar is handled differently. Processed stuff is already processed. It's already a sugar. And so it doesn't need to go through all the digestive stuff to be converted like the other food does in your belly. It's already a sugar, and so it bypasses all that regular stuff, and it goes immediately into your bloodstream. So it confuses the body, because instead of having a full belly full of nutrients, you have a full belly full of stuff it doesn't know what to do with. And so blood sugar levels go up. They go way up. And what happens when you have too much blood sugar in your bloodstream, or too much sugar in your bloodstream, high blood sugar level, is there's like these warning signals, like this insulin jumps into gear, because insulin's job is to keep everything under control. And when you have too much of that glucose in your bloodstream, you can damage your organs, and it, your body's trying to protect your organs. And so it jumps into gear. It's like this big bong, bong, bong. We have an emergency going on, and it dumps the glucose out of the bloodstream to keep it at a healthy level, at a steady level, and it puts it into fat storage. Okay, so it dumps it out quickly to help save those organs, putting into fat. And what happens then? Well, down again. And a craving hits in, withdrawals kick in. Okay, and then we do the same thing, and we go through this same up and down. Okay, so you can see how we're looking here. We're staying right within this nice steady over here of eat when we're hungry. I don't think you can see the whole board, but you know what I'm talking about. Eat when you're hungry, stop when you're full, provide all the energy you need for your body, versus over here, we're just eating a quick fix to get a fix. We're getting into an emergency, we're dropping into another emergency, and going up and down. So we're not providing the nutrients we need. We're not in a steady pattern that our hormones even understand what's going on. The normal hormones that would keep us in a fat loss mode aren't even being produced, or they're being produced in wrong amounts. They're frankly confused. So what do? How do we solve this? Well, we go back to eating the way that we're intended to eat, the way we were made to eat. And so I want to look at this board again and just talk about our eating cycles. We want to get out of this one. We want to get into a nice healthy one over here. Now here's some of the fabulous stuff over here. If you can learn the difference between eating when you're hungry versus eating when you're emotional, or eating when you have a craving, if you just eat when you're at between a -4 and a -5, if you keep your hunger levels Don't dip below there, because then you can get into some more warning sign unhealthy stuff. But don't let it up above a 0. Just eat to when you're satisfied. If you stay in that range always, your body will get to its natural weight. This is what like I said, my mentor told me in the training I had from her. And so with my research and with my experience of the last week, that is clarified. Now, keeping it in here, I want to tell you how you do that. And this is the other cool thing. If you get to, say, a -4, you've got your pattern and you figured out, okay, I'm hungry. It's not a craving. I'm hungry. You're at a -4. Then you either eat right then or you wait an hour until you're a -5-ish, okay? You eat a good meal, a good solid meal full of good solid food. No flours, no sugars, or at least a very little bit of those. With that solid meal, that will keep you full for a good 4 or 5 hours. And then you eat again, and then you're full again, and you don't go in between and eat those little bits of food. Because here's the beauty. If you are just going off of, you're letting your body use the nutrition that you provided that one time, you go the full 4 hours, you start having the ghrelin produced, you get another hour where that's actually a bonus hour. You can consider that a bonus hour because you're out of reserves in your belly. Your body actually starts going to your fat reserves for energy. So I call that the bonus hour. So I literally get up, I eat a good breakfast, just a good breakfast, with protein, with a vegetable. I put in some good quality stuff, and then I'm done eating. And normally it's like, okay, I'm going to have to figure out if I'm going somewhere, I need to take a snack with me, and I'm going to be hungry soon, I'm going to get all the jitters. And I was eating a good dinner. A good diet. But I was still eating some of these processed stuff and also just eating frequently. And I wasn't allowing my body to get back into this cycle where it will actually burn the fat. It will get to the point that it can burn the fat. So we start in the morning, eat a good breakfast. If you have eaten a good breakfast, you should be able to go 4 hours without even thinking about food again. And this is what I found I've been able to do if I eat a good breakfast. Now, if I don't, if it's even too small of a breakfast, but it's still a good one, but too small, then I'm thinking about food sooner than that. So I go the 4 hours, I start feeling it's coming from the belly, I'm hungry, and I give it another hour, and I consider that my bonus hour. I learn to say no to people or say, I'll have that in a little bit, I'll hold on to it. In another hour or so, I have a good, solid lunch, good food. And then I get to go another 4 hours before I even think about food. I get a nice dinner. And, sometimes even, because I like to have a snack at bedtime, I have some popcorn. I'll have it right after dinner. That's what I've been doing. Is like, I've been looking forward to some popcorn. I think dinner's over. I'm going to have some popcorn now. I just eat it all in a compartmentalized time instead of throughout the day. And I forgot to point out, before I move on, you can imagine with this little cycle that we had going, as scientists were trying to figure out how to keep us from going way up and way down, that's why they were advising us to go with little portions, because it was at least stabilizing this a little bit, but it was still messed up. Okay, it was just trying to fix a huge problem in a simple way, but it wasn't enough. We need to get back to that, to just the 3 meals a day, eat till you're full, stop eating, let your body digest the food, let it get to the point that it uses fat if you have too much of it. And then we're in a healthy cycle, and this can happen. Okay, I've got to stop this video because it's going to get too long for me to post it on here. So I will come up with another one. I'm going to post these today. Go ahead and ask your questions. I will have more videos up tomorrow. We're going to talk about mindset, how to do journaling that will help you evaluate what you're doing. Never judgment. We are not going to judge ourselves with any of this. We're going to learn to take it from a kind of a scientific point of view, just watching what your body is doing, but never judging what your body's doing. Okay, that's all for now. Thank you guys. This is really fun, and I look forward to hearing your comments and hearing your progress and just seeing how this goes. So we will talk to you soon. Bye.